Hi everyone, welcome back to Barney's Anniversary Month. We had covered the direct-to-video home video series, Barney and the Backyard Game, and then we covered the TV series from PBS, Barney and Friends, and now we are getting into the Barney home videos. If you remember as a kid in the 1990s, 2000s, and even the 2010s, you may remember walking to your local store, going into the video section, and then grabbing a VHS tape or DVD on the shelf, and then giving it a watch. And that video would stick with you until you collect more videos and have some great fond memories for the rest of your life. Before we talk about the Barney home videos from the Lyons Group era, there's going to be some rules here. Rule number 1, Barney and the Backyard Gang will not be counted. Rule number 2, the episodic videos will not be counted either. Rule number 3, the Barney clip shows will be counted. And rule number 4, I will not be discussing the live shows that were released onto VHS or DVD because I'm saving those live shows at the very end of the series. Oh yeah, I'll not be including the movie either since I've already discussed it previously. Alright, with all that said and done, let's start off with the very first home video ever made. Barney's Magical Musical Adventure. Well, that was a good start to the Barney home video line. The kids, Michael, Derek, Tina, and Min, were building a sandcastle in Derek's backyard, and they wished that they could have visited a real castle. So Barney takes them all the way to the castle, starting with a magical forest. After some silly echoing and then got spooked off by an unknown voice in the process.
Look! There's something in the bushes! Oh, run! Okay, go that way. We've already been there. Oh, no! I'm lost! Oh, wait for me!
They finally met this magical elf, Twinkle, and then has to do 3 things in order to cross the bridge to the castle. The castle doesn't open until 3 o'clock, so the kids have some time to play, such as playing those pretend horses where they showed off who's the fastest horse, and then going around this colorful pole, and then the gates finally open, and Barney and his friends meet the king, portrayed by Susanna Wetzel's father, Rick Wetzel. After the greet, the king wishes to go fishing, so Michael decides that the kids themselves and Barney can look after the castle while the king is away to go fishing. So he agrees.
I crown you King Barney. Yay!
After singing Old King Cole, Baby Bop joins in on the fun and have a wonderful tea party filled with Mother Goose rhymes. Then they found a trunk filled with musical instruments and they decided to put a musical show for Barney and Baby Bop. Then after that, the king returns, Barney retrieves his crown.
Thank you, Barney.
You're welcome.
And then the king makes the children princes and princesses. And then, by using their imaginations, they return to Derek's backyard, and Barney reminds them that they can be a prince or princess every day right here at home. Some interesting information that you may not know is that the video was originally intended to be about Barney and the kids traveling to different locations on a magical carpet with a pianist and a grand piano, and the working title for it was Barney and the Magical Musical Flying Carpet. However, scriptwriter Stephen White pointed out the idea couldn't work as a 6-foot-tall dinosaur, 7 or so kids, and a grand piano with a pianist would be huge and baffling when flying through the air, and some semi-classical piano playing wouldn't be right for a preschool audience. So the video was reworked into Barney's Magical Musical Adventure that we all know. Also, the actors who played Lucy, Kathy, Sean, and Tasha were listed in the end credits, despite not appearing in the video itself. Would it be cool just to see the entire gang together? Anyway, this was the final time where Jenny Dempsey performs Baby Bop before she performs the bear in Who's in the Forest, and then BJ afterwards in Season 2, the final appearances of both costumes of Barney and Baby Bop, the final appearance of this doll, the first time that the I Love You song was in a different arrangement, and the final time where they used the Barney and the Backyard Gang art style before the packaging for future Barney video releases were streamlined. Also, this video was going to be in the 1994 Homer Awards, but it was replaced by Let's Pretend with Barney due to the arriving of its marketing. Anyway, what do I think of Barney's Magical Musical Adventure? I think that this video is a good and a great start to the Barney home video line. The characters are great, the sets are impressive, and the little bits of animation in faraway shots hold up pretty well. So for that, I'm going to give Barney's Magical Musical Adventure a solid 10 out of 10. Love to read with Barney. Well, won't you look at that? It's the very first Barney clip show in the franchise. Barney went to the library to return some books. Then, he meets up with Miss Stevens, who was the librarian at the library. She shows Barney all over the library, telling him about the programs and activities over there. And of course, after those segments, we would get clips from Season 2 related to the topics that Barney and Miss Stevens are talking about. Fun fact, Love to Read with Barney was filmed at the Allen Public Library in Allen, Texas in the fall of 1993, and it took 15 hours to film, which is crazy. I'm really surprised that filming went pretty snappy. When the half-hour clip show video was released on December 19th of 1993 by the Lyons Group, J.C. Penney, and the American Library Association, it was only available to get at libraries. And because of this tape can be pretty hard to find to get, and it's unknown of how many of them are produced. Also, when looking at the cover, Barney and some random kids have the Barney's Favorites Mother Goose rhymes. I am mentioning this little detail here just to point that out. Oh yeah, during the I Love You song of Look at Me, I'm 3, the camera angles are a bit different from the original airing. If you watch these clips back to back, you'll see what I mean. So overall, I think Love to Read with Barney is an alright Barney clip show. It does a very good job of explaining certain details at the library, and the Allen Public Library is an interesting filming location. I'll be nice. I'll give this clip show a 7 out of 10. Bedtime with Barney, Imagination Island, or just Imagination Island. Wow, this is peak, and Barney has gone to prime time. What could make Barney's popularity better? Min is having a sleepover at Tasha's house, and Tasha's mother is reading a book called Imagination Island. However, she was unable to finish the book, so after showing Min her heart necklace and doing pillow fighting, the girls read the book. After a thunderstorm, Barney comes to life feeling a little scared and shows Tasha and Min that they can go on a sailing adventure by using their imaginations. Then the stairs leads them to a pirate ship, and then they meet up with their friends, Sean, Derek, Baby Bop, and BJ. After a nice conversation and Baby Bop controls the steering wheel on the ship, a super mega tidal wave knocked the ship onto some palm trees on the Imagination Island. They decided to explore the island while BJ and Baby Bop stayed on the ship. and there is not a single bit of civilization anywhere. That is until they find a tropical hut where they meet Professor Erasmus Q. Tinkerput, portrayed by American actor Barry Pearl, a professor character who was isolated on this tropical hut, and he made a lot of toys from the remaining parts of an airplane that he had and doesn't share his creations with everyone. Tinkerput shows them his new balloon machine, which doesn't work properly. That is until Tasha realized that the heart-shaped necklace is the key to make the balloon machine work, and then, as a solution to his predicament, Professor Tinkerput turns on the balloon machine, and it was a success, and Professor Tinkerput understands the importance of sharing. After making other people happy makes him happy, Professor Tinkerput decides that he wants to leave this island and agrees to get their ship out of the trees. After getting all the toys from the hut to the ship, they made a lot of giant balloons and attached them to the ship. And then they cut the anchor and then they sailed off up in the sky. And Barney reminds the children the importance of home. Min and Tasha were transported back into Tasha's bedroom, and then they are ready for bed. After saying goodnight to Barney, the ship sails off into the night sky. There are so many things to like about this primetime special, so I'll go into the dinos first, starting with Barney, and I gotta say, Barney looks really nice. Dubbed as B6, it was the first Barney costume to have the arms permanently attached. Barney got brighter and become smoother and sleek. His jaw and muzzle were square-shaped, as well as the teeth, especially the bottom row, becoming larger, and the tail gets curly. The eyes are less sunken, but the blinking mechanism remains, and the toes appeared somewhat shinier. And this may be considered a prototype version of the Season 3 suit. After the design's appearance, it would be used in photographed books, VHS covers, promotional material, and even Kids for Character, which by then the mouth would be less angular than before and much rounder. As for Baby Bop, her design remained largely the same, but she gained darker magenta spots and her nostrils became bigger, and the performer, Jeff Ayres, must lean her head down for the whole face to be visible, and that's pretty much it. Not a single bit of change. As for BJ, he became shorter to appear slightly taller than his sister. The bottom jaw is connected on the top of his stomach. His shoulders are shaped differently, being more rounder, and BJ's hat was recycled from the first BJ costume. After Imagination Island, as well as the live performance at Radio City Music Hall, it would be used for live appearances and Barney books until 1995, and this was the first time that Jeff Brooks performs the character, and he did a pretty good job performing him, and I would say that he is my second favorite BJ performer, while Kyle Nelson being first. Brooks continued to perform BJ in seasons 3 to 6 until 2001, with his final performance being in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So Jeff Brooks performed BJ for 7 years, and he didn't stick around for that long. As for the adult characters, they're pretty good, like J.D. Mosley and David J. Courtney reprising their roles as Tasha's parents. And this is the last time that we're seeing these guys. As for Professor Tinkerput, I think that he is a great character, and Barry Pearl gives a wonderful performance. I also enjoy listening to his titular Tinkerput song. It is really catchy. Props to Philip Parker for writing this song. There was a desire that Tinkerput was going to be in the episodes for Barney and Friends. However, his appearances for the show was cut, possibly for upstaging for you know who, and the treehouse itself was originally meant to be a toy shop, but then it became the treehouse. But hey, at the very least, Professor Tinkerput got a chance to shine in Barney's Big Surprise and gets mentioned into Barney home videos that were tailored around Barney's house. So that's something. And he is one of the few human characters to get trademarked by the Lyons group, just to let you know. Aside from one home video and one live show, Professor Tinkerput can be seen in the Barney books and video games, where he was voiced by Steve Franken. Anyway, the kids themselves are great, including Tasha, who shared her necklace with the professor. The sets, the props, and including the ship are well crafted, and the visual effects in some areas are pretty good. As for the giant balloons, they're fine, but they can be pretty plasticky. But hey, it was this time period that CGI is still in its limitations. As far as casting goes, Julie Johnson was not on set because she was off Broadway, so Carol Farrelby has to take the role of Baby Bop, but sooner or later, Julie Johnson returned to dub over Farrelby's lines, and for good reason too, because NBC wanted continuity to continue. Thus explains why both of these actresses are credited in the end credits. Another interesting fact is the famous I Love You song was supposed to be in the special, however, it didn't because of the lawsuit. So instead of the famous song itself, they decided to go with It's Good to Be Home, and I think it is a smart decision because it gives this video to have a separate, unique identity. Same for Barney Live in New York City, but I'll cover that once we get to the live shows. Following Imagination Island, Stephen White thought of a sequel that involves Rainbow Beard the Pirate stealing all the colors from the island, but the idea never came to fruition, and there are also some scrap ideas like the final draft of the script that include a monkey see, monkey do routine. Oh yeah, and the final notes of Pop Goes the Weasel, this was edited out of all home video releases. Barney's Imagination Island premiered on NBC on April 24th, 1994. It would also be released onto VHS a couple of months later, and it got a chance to get a DVD release in 2004, and then it was re-released again in 2010, but with a different cover and new logo with the dinos in their current looks around that time. I can see why that Imagination Island holds a special place around everybody's hearts because of the adventure aspect, catchy songs, its heartwarming messages, and moments. And rewatching this in a couple of years later, it was enjoyable to watch. And I consider that to be my favorite Barney home video from this time period of the franchise. Everything about it is great. So for that, I will give Imagination Island a solid 10 out of 10. Well, this is where I'm going to stop right here for now, but don't you worry, I will cover the rest of the Lyons Group era videos of Barney. So, I'll see you in part 2. This is Dre Edwards, and I'll see you next time.